המזבח, אז אגמור בשיר מזמור חנוכת המזבח. חג שמח ושבת שלום everyone. It is so nice to start this night of Hanukkah and Shabbat together. We will commence our service lighting Hanukkah candles, and I see that we have several of you with your candles prepared. I think we are going to have Noga and the Sokos leading us in the Hanukkah and in the lighting of the Hanukkah, but if we could, Zach, feature the images of the Goldmans and the Sokos in our screen, so we have all these wonderful lights lighting the Hanukkah candles together. It will be wonderful. And as soon as we light Hanukkah candles, we will go into Shabbat and we will light the Nerot Shel Shabbat. And for that, we will be hearing the Goldmans, and I see also the Ritz from here also. We light first the Shamash.
Can we go?
Bro, please do. אלוהינו מלך העולם, עשה ניסים לאבותינו, בימים ההם בזמן הזה. אמן.
חג שמח.
חג שמח, חג שמח. And we will now turn to the Goldmans, and we will ask you to please lead us in lighting Shabbat candles. And the Ritz, we highlight the image, and we'll be able to see better from here. I hope I'm not missing anyone. I saw that Faith is there also. Mickey Fisher, Mike Fisher.
Sorry, technical difficulties. Ready?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. I see also Mickey, and Mike, and Faith. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Shabbat Shalom to all those that are joining us in Zoom and, of course, on YouTube and on Facebook. It is great to start this Shabbat of Hanukkah, this Shabbat of Parashat Miketz together. Nerot halalu, these candles that we light in Hanukkah, they are only for beauty, only for us to enjoy their beauty. In Hanukkah, we take a moment to recognize the miracles that we have experienced in our lives. Hanukkah is not about asking for miracles. It is about recognizing those that have occurred to us. we are so oblivious to the wonders that we have in our lives. Hanukkah, we recognize that miracles indeed happen to us, and we look at them with gratitude. We turn our Sidurim to page 130 to welcome Shabbat, to walk toward welcoming Shabbat with joy. Lechu neranena. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariע לצור אישנו, נקדמה פניו בתודה בסמירות, נריע לו, נקדמה פניו בתודה בסמירות, נריע לו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, ספרו מיום ליום ישועתו, עברו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו. יאללה די די די, יאללה די די, יאללה די די די, יאללה די די די, יאללה די די, יאללה די די, יאללה די די די, יאללה די די, yay die die die, yay die die die, yay die 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 die, yay die die die. שמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, אץ ירננו כל עצי יער, ודאי מלאך תגל הארץ, שמחו עם רבים. A light is shown to the righteous, not a light that comes from the outside world, but rather a light that comes from within. A light that we find within ourselves as we engage in trying to live lives of meaning, lives of connection. מזמור שיר לאדוני, שיר חדש, כי נפלאות עשה. We take a moment to look around and to look inside and to recognize the wonders, the niflaot that we have in our lives. And as we try to transform this night of Friday into Erev Shabbat, into night of Shabbat, as we try to enter, to walk into this palace on time, we allow the melodies, allow the words to guide us through this journey of connecting with what is sacred in our lives, in our world. We turn our Sidurim to page 134. Samru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor, bekol simbra, b'chatzotzrot, בקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם ימום לו, תבל יושבי בם, היי נהרות, עמך וכף אף יחד, הרים ירננו לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט אבל בצדק, בימים ומישרים. אילם ימום לו, תבל ויושבי בה, העיני נהרות, עמך וכף אף יחד, הרים ירננו, אף יחד, הרים ירננו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו. Let's find our way to uplift our lives, to uplift what's meaningful in our lives. As we turn our series to page 136 for Psalm 29, מזמור לדוד. מזמור לדוד, אבו לאדוני בנהלים, אבו לאדוני כבוד בעוז, אבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני באדרת קודש. כל אדוני העלמאים אל על כבוד עדים, אדוני אדוני על מים רבים. כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר עדשים בישבר, אדוני את ארצי הלבנון ירכבם כמו עגל לבנון בציון, כמו בן רמים. כל אדוני חוצב לבקש, כל אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יכול לעלות, ויחשוף יערות, ובהיכלו כולו מרכבות, ובהיכלו כולו מרכבות. אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני יוס לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמיו בשלום. את עמיו, את עמיו, את עמיו בשלום. As we get closer to Ma'ariv, we keep thinking about how to bring more joy, more special things to our Shabbat. Today we are missing our very special Gabrielle, who is recovering from her third shot, from her booster. So we wish her a full and a speedy recovery. And we are grateful for science, for refuah, for the medicine that we have in our lives. We are grateful for healing. We are grateful for the people and the beauty and the wonders we have in our lives. Now, Lecha Dodi, during Hanukkah, we try to sing Lecha Dodi with Hanukkah melodies. And can tell you it's quite challenging. It's a funny challenge. So we will be singing Lecha Dodi with 5 Hanukkah melodies. We're going to sing it with Maustur, Yamei Hanukkah or Hanukkah in English, with Banu Choshech Legaresh, and then with Sevivon, and we will conclude with Ala Nisim. So if you feel a bit confused, just keep trying. Let's sing together. Let's welcome Shabbat with joy and with these special melodies of this special time of the year. Shamor v'sachor b'divur echad ishmihanu el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה לך דודי לקראת כלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי אם מקור הרעך נדוש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה ומקשבה תחילה לך דודי לך דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה צוררי צוררי קיבה אורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני אלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לא תבושי ולא תקלני מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי כך יחסו אני ימי ונבנתה עיר אל תילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה אוי ושלום עצרת ולה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי כלה בואי כלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה יאללה די 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 על הניסים ועל הגבולות ועל הפור ועל התשובות ועל הנחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. Shabbat Shalom everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Hanukkah Sameach. We have all the songs now, all the Hanukkah songs with us. We have the spirit of Shabbos among us. And this is a great opportunity just to acknowledge each other, to acknowledge each other's presence, to acknowledge that when we come together, when we create community, the experience of what is sacred reaches a different level. It's completely different when we are together. So we acknowledge those in Zoom, we acknowledge those that are joining us in YouTube and Facebook. We acknowledge our beloved Evan, who is here singing with us today, supporting the efforts, doing some real teamwork, and Aiden and Zach, and all those that make our Shabbos together possible. I invite you to turn your Sidurim to page 140 for Psalm 92, one more Psalm. טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולסמר לשמך עליון, טוב להודות לאדוני, אוי להגיד בבוקר חסדך, אוי להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות, באמונתך בלילות, טוב להודות לאדוני, היי היי היי, אוי להגיד בבוקר חסדך, אוי להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות, באמונתך בלילות, טוב להודות לאדוני, היי היי, אוי להגיד בבוקר חסדך, היי היי, אוי להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות, באמונתך בלילות, טוב לאדוני, היי 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 דה דה דה, יאי דה דה דה, יא דה 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 דה, יא דה 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 דה, די דה דה דה, יאי דה דה דה, יא דה דה דה, די דה דה דה, יא דה דה דה, די דה דה דה, די די דה דה דה, די די, היי די, היי די דה דה דה, יאי דה דה דה, דה 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 דה, יאי דה דה דה, די דה דה דה, די דה דה דה, יא דה די די, די דה דה דה, די די די, יאי דה דה דה, די די, יא דה די די, די די. Within our Sidurim now, yes, to transition to Ma'ariv Shel Shabbat. We're on page 144 for Chetzi Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, ואלמד יבנה חילותה, וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי וכל בית ישראל. בהגלה, בהגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יש מרבם מבורך, עולם ולעול בהלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתבהר ותרומם יתנשא, בהיצדר, בהיתעלה, בהיתעלל שמת הקודשה, ויחו להילה מן כל ברכתה, בשירתה, תוש וחצה ונחמתה דמידם בהלמה ואמרו אמן. We turn our Sidurim to page 146 for Barhum. As we ask for the gate of prayers to be open for us, we also ask from ourselves to open our hearts, to recognize that the unity of God is expressed through the diversity of humanity. We look around and we tell to one another that we recognize you, we count on you. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. ומבדיל לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים. May we see that, and as we get closer to the Shema, I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and think about the wonders, the niflaot, the meorot, the lights, the legacies of love, Torah u'mitzvot, your commitments, the things that you carry with you, with yourself, that help you define who you are and make you feel deeply loved. Let that love surround you. And think of that light as a shelter, as a talit. Let that talit, that light surround you. Breathe in and bring that light into your system. And as you breathe out, exhale what doesn't belong, but you shouldn't carry within your system. Breathe in and out. And as we do so, try to get closer to this idea of oneness, by trying to be one with our own selves. Once again, breathe in and out. I invite you to take a deep breath. We say, dear love, dear God, please never remove that love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo, Israel. We're on page 152. Shema Israel, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad. We're on page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולבטך בדרך ובשופכך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. אמת באמונה כל סוד וקיים עלינו, כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ואין זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל. Continue with a silent reading over page 156. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that we worship, that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders. מכמוך באלים אדוני, מכמוך נעדר בקודש. ולתהילות אוסף אליהם מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. An interesting thing just to notice when we chant the words of the blessing for Geulah from Shirat Hayam in the book of Exodus, the Song of the Sea in the book of Exodus, or as we usually call it, Michamocha, is that there's this description of a miracle. And now, this is actually a huge miracle. Like God parted the sea for us, for the Israelites. Now, if you compare between miracles, right, like between, I don't know, parting the sea and the oil barrel, like parting the sea is kind of big, it's a bigger one, isn't that? Like if we needed to make an entire holiday around a miracle, wouldn't you just take like something else rather than a barrel full of oil that instead of one day was enough for, they had enough for one day and ended up being enough for not only 7 but 8 days? So what is the thing that makes the miracle of Hanukkah so special? I tell you what I think. A few weeks ago, I was in a meeting, sitting with other people, and a beloved friend who went through a surgery said, I would like to take a moment, and he broke into Birkat HaGomel, the blessing for gratitude that we say after going through a major risk in our lives. Now there's a say an answer for Birkat HaGomer, and I was probably the only one who knew the Hebrew answer for Birkat HaGomer in the room, and I mumbled the answer. I couldn't even completely say the answer because I was so deeply moved by the fact that he was sharing in tears his gratitude. It's very rare that someone calls me and says, Rabbi, I was thinking, I wanted to tell you, I'm actually very grateful with my life. See you next week. I wanted to let you know, my life is full of miracles. Thank you. I just wanted to tell you that I'm very grateful. I thank God. I thank the good luck I have. See you in Shabbos. Most of the time, we take time to acknowledge our tzures, our challenges. And when very good things happen to us, it's not that we are disgrateful or ungrateful. We don't fully notice them. We sometimes even struggle to believe that those good things are actually happening to us. If we were able to recognize those things, then we could be grateful. And I think that the entire thing in Hanukkah is that idea, the idea of rededication, the idea that all of a sudden what was obvious, the fact that we had a home, the fact that the few were able to win against the many, that these Maccabim were able to stand up and fight against the biggest empire that the world knew. The willingness to do that, the courage to do that. That was a miracle itself. But it only became a miracle when we were able to recognize that beautiful fire. That beautiful fire that didn't only last 8 days. That fire have lasted for 2,000 years. And it's in each one of our households. And that's a miracle. That we are here and that we can look at our past with gratitude. With that gratitude, also look at our future. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גואל ישראל. Blessed are you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. We turn our Sidurim to page 160. השכיבנו, אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, העמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו, אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, העמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ותקננו בעצה טוב אני לפניך. אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו, אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ושמור צאתנו. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, העמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, guardian of Israel. The shelter of peace is spread over us, over your people Israel, and over the city of Shalom, your holy city, Jerusalem. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ואת הארץ. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפל. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, לדורותם ברית עולם. It is a covenant between me and the people of Israel to keep Shabbat as a part of our lives, to let us Shabbat to keep us alive. I invite you to turn our Sidurim to page 164 for Tfilat Amidah. You can follow along the words of our tradition, or alternatively, you can take a moment for personal meditation, for personal prayer. Adonai, שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. אדוני, שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. ما يخرج منها. رجعوا لا 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 خلينا نسمع في التليفون بدأ يقول ماذا بنحن لا أخشى ده هنا لا 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 ودنا ما يتصل كي كنا ولا نسي ممكن نقول هذا الشهود ولا نخوض وتنو يعمل شو نقول إسلام خاطر نقول لهم كده. אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע, ושפתיי מדבר מרמה. ולמקללי נפשי תדום, ונפשי כפר לכל תהיה. Open my heart to your Torah. Help me be a pursuer of your mitzvot. And for all those that wish me bad, misfortune, evil, help me stick to my path, stick to my values. Don't let us miss the target, miss direction. Help us become partners, builders of the world that could be. The world that we can create when we stick to Abat Chesed, to loving kindness. למען קדושתך עשה למען תורתך. For your sacredness, for the holiness of this world, help us engage in the deeds of Torah, in the study of Torah. Help us become partners in the making and the creating of Shalom, of peace. עושה שלום במרומיו, ועושה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and for all who inhabit the earth. And let us say, Amen. And I take a moment to acknowledge those that are dealing with illness in our community. We think of those dealing with illness in their bodies, in their souls. We think of those dealing with addictions. So we invite you to share their names, to bring them into this space of prayer. We turn our Siddurim to page 371 for Misha Berach. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We wish to all of them refuah shlema v'chlama meira, a complete and a fast recovery, and let us say טוב, חברים. Who knows what's the Torah portion we are reading this week? Who said Miketz? You are right. Now, let me open the seal. I want to have something prepared before I start speaking. I don't know if you noticed, but I sang a bit more than usual. So I will drink some water. I was able to rescue a bottle of water before starting the service. Did not find cups. It was in a rush. I realized that I was going to need water today. So we're in the middle of the 3 Torah portions that relate the story of Joseph. Today we read, this Shabbat, we read Parashat Miketz, but the story of Joseph starts in Vayeshev, and we will continue reading this story in Vayigash. And the reason I am contextualizing this a little bit is because I will be touching some things that have to do with Vayeshev, and I hope to conclude with an idea that we will read next week in Parashat Vayigash. Now, Vaya Miketz. There was. That's how this Torah portion starts. And the Midrash explains that every time that the Torah starts saying there was, it's because it's describing something sad. So one should ask, what's the sad description, the sad description that the Torah is about to share? Now, what happens quite immediately in this Torah portion is that we are going to learn how Joseph becomes this political figure, political leader, almost like a pharaoh in Egypt. We are about to learn about how he's going to interpret dreams and how his career is going to become a great one. So what's the source of this anguish? Well, he's once again in a dungeon. He's literally in a dungeon this time. This is not the first time that Joseph is under the surface. And we know that from Parashat Vayeshev. So let's go to Vayeshev. We learn in Vayeshev about the Kutonet Pasim. We learn about Joseph getting this very special tunic, this very special shirt from his father. We learn about this strife between siblings in a conversation with Rabbi David Young. He said, it's like giving to one of your children a Tesla, and to all the rest, a gift card, $10 in Starbucks. So there was a huge distinction there, and Joseph had this tunic, and also he starts dreaming dreams, and in these dreams he sees himself in a superior position in front of his siblings, and he has the great idea of sharing that information with them. Well, it's interesting that he ended up being a politician, right? Like the first lesson on being a politician, learn what you are not supposed to say. And he did share too much information with his siblings, and that got them pretty upset. In the middle of that strife, Jacob sends Joseph to Shechem. Now, 3 Torah portions ago, we saw that Shechem wasn't such a good place, right? Like we just experienced a massacre that was done by his brothers, and now Jacob is sending him there just to have some time off. He's walking with his siblings, and he ends up in this hole. He's sold to a group of nomads. He makes it to Egypt. When it looks like he's about to have a better life, he's living in the house of Potiphar. He's sexually harassed and then accused of sexual harassment and sent to jail. He believes after helping one of his mates in jail that he's going to be released, and it turns out that it doesn't happen immediately. It takes 2 more years. It's a long time. And now he's about to make it. He's about to become Joseph the Great, the one who interprets Pharaoh's dreams. We'll talk about those dreams tomorrow. Now, what's the problem between Joseph and his siblings? Well, you could say envy, you could say poor parenthood skills. On Jacob's end, there are many possible ideas that we could use to describe this situation. But what we know for sure is that his siblings and Joseph himself don't understand who he is. They don't really understand this very special figure. They don't really recognize him. Now, we learned that Pharaoh hires Joseph, gives him new clothes. Pharaoh literally takes Joseph out of the dungeon, gives him new clothes, gives him a very good job, a new name, and a wife. And now the prophecy, this dream that Joseph was able to interpret, becomes a reality, and there is a famine. And that famine affects his family in Canaan. And now his brothers come to Egypt. And once again, they see this leader, but they don't recognize him. They don't recognize Joseph. Think about it, like, it's 20 years, but not recognizing your brother, not being able to recognize who he is. It's quite a thing. Now, there's an interesting side story to this story. And it's that, there's a question. I shared this question yesterday in a conversation with fellow rabbis. There's a huge question, like, why now that Joseph is in a position of such power, why didn't he write a letter to Jacob saying, Dad, I'm fine, love you, Joe? Why he didn't do that? Well, Joseph doesn't necessarily know how sad is Jacob because of his disappearance. Jacob actually thinks that Joseph has died. Why does he think so? Well, he was given this shirt full of blood, and he was told that he was attacked by Hayat Teref, by a wild animal, and that was it. And he has died. But Joseph doesn't know that. What he knows is that he was thrown into a hole, stripped from his clothes, disconnected from his home, from his identity. And nobody, no one, asked about him in his experience ever again. He doesn't know that his dad thinks that he has died. And as a matter of fact, he kind of has a new dad. Pharaoh, on the other hand, took him out of the dungeon, gave him new clothes, a job, a new name, and a wife. So no wonder why it's so difficult to recognize Joseph. It's like he's a different person. Now, there is a scene that happens in the next Torah portion in Parashat Vayigash. And we have this scene that starts in this Torah portion that they start, the siblings come to ask for food. They hide this cup between the things, and now they are accused, and they need to go back and forth. There's all this situation. But then at some point, in the next Torah portion, his siblings are in front of him. He asks everyone to leave the room besides the siblings. And then he breaks into tears and says, Ani Yosef, is our dad alive? I am Joseph. Is my dad still alive? I want to think for a moment about that situation. One of the things that we know about the possibility to create peace between different entities is that if we don't recognize each other, if we don't accept each other's existence, we can't have peace. Like the classic point that Israeli politicians make about some of the fellow Palestinian politicians is, if you want to come and have peace with the state of Israel, they say you first need to recognize the existence of the state of Israel in this land. Now, why is that such an important condition? Well, if we don't recognize it, if we deny each other's existence, well, we don't have a common ground to start our conversation. The first interaction described in the Torah between Joseph and his siblings is a denial of Joseph's existence. They don't recognize Joseph. And now, in this Torah portion, once again, they don't recognize Joseph. This time it's kind of physical recognition of Joseph. Then they didn't recognize his identity. Now they don't recognize his appearance. But I want to say that there's something even more profound in this lack of recognition. And it's the fact that Joseph doesn't recognize himself. Joseph himself, he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know anymore. And when you don't know who you are, you can't make peace with anyone else. You can make peace with your surroundings once you have the ability to articulate who you are. And for the first time in more than 20 years, this teenager, this kid that was 17 years old, when he was thrown into that hole, understands who he is and says, I am Joseph. This is who I am. I am wearing these clothes. I have all this power. I have all this money, but the bones, the principal foundation of my identity is that I am Joseph. I am Joseph. I am Jacob's child. And the most important thing to me in this moment is to know how my dad is doing. Is he alive? And this is, I think, an important idea that I would like for all of us to keep. We are so busy trying to get recognition from those that are surrounding us so often. And we are so busy with our surroundings. We are so busy trying to get legitimization of, what he thinks, what she thinks, what they think, that at some point we could forget who we want to be and who we are. And I think that the most beautiful thing that happens to Joseph in this story is that he lived to understand and to recognize who he is. And once we recognize who we are, who we want to be, we can also recognize what's important to us. So I pray that we get to do that during our lifetime. That while we are still alive, while those that are important to us are still alive, we articulate who we are, and we articulate what's essential to us. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue our service on page 588. Be'ashevota el levavecha. We recognize that our way, our path to a life with purpose starts from within our hearts. Be'ashevota el levavecha ki Adonai Ua Elohim Ve'ashevota El levavecha Ki Adonai Ua Elohim Be'nemar Be'haya Adonai Lemelech al kol haaretz Vayom ahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo We're done our Sidurim now to page 598 as we take a moment to acknowledge mourners in our community. We invite you to share the names of those that you are remembering where you are during the first 7 days of mourning, Shiva, the first 30 days of mourning, Shloshim, the cycle of the first year of mourning. See you there, Mark, remembering your mom, Rita. And if you have your side this week, can I ask you to open the comments on Zoom? We cannot attend to the comments on Facebook and on YouTube, but we can read those on Zoom. We see that it's the yahrzeit of Miriam's mother, Elizabeth Kaufman. Can you go up? Rita Silverstein. Are we missing anyone here in Zoom? We also remember Aaron Kokos, the father of Mike Kokos, who passed away last Saturday. Now you can support our fellows while standing or sitting, joining us with your voices and your hearts for Kaddish Aveli Mourners Kaddish on page 598. Itgadal be'itgadash shemer rava.
Amen.
בעלמא דברה חילותה, וימליך מלכותה. בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, באמרו אמן.
Amen.
יהא שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי עלמיה יתברך, באיש טבח, בית פאר, בית רומם, בית נשא, בית הדר, בית עלה, בית הלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה. תמירם בעלמה, באמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, בחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, באמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, באמרו אמן.
Amen.
May the memories of your dear ones be always a blessing. יהי זכרם ברוך. Very seated. A few quick announcements. First, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we have our traditional Torah study. We encourage all of you to join us. It's a terrific group. At 10 a.m., we have Shacharit Shel Shabbat. In the afternoon, I wish I had here a note, but I think it's 5 p.m., quite sure 5 p.m., but check on me. Please check our website, 5 p.m. We have our Hanukkah Carnival, a very joyful gathering for Hanukkah with lots of activities for families, for children, nice music, lots of latkes, and so those that want to join us, we encourage you to do so. We will be doing Havdalah as well, and the Havdalah, of course, will be in a hybrid format. The rest of the activities, unfortunately, are going to be only for in-person participation. And on Sunday we have our Odd Hanukkah Cabaret. Gabrielle will be fully recovered, B'ezrat Hashem, we hope, and she will be singing with some of her friends. Are you a friend of her?
I am.
So you're going to be singing too?
I'll
Good.
be playing.
I'm not friends with her. No, actually, we are very good friends. But this is actually a great, it's a cantorial recital. Like, we have such a wonderful cantorial figure in our community, and she will be rocking this bima. Actually, don't think that she will get to the bima at any point. But anyway, she'll be doing great. And I think you will have a blast. And of course, the event is hybrid. You will be able to connect with us through Zoom and social media, etc. Come with me. One more thing. On the 17th, we have family service. I want to encourage all those that can come in person to come in person to family services. Come in person to family services. Dance with us. Chant with us. We are doing right now only one night a month of services. So join us and enjoy with us family services. And on the 18th, we have our last Shabbat lunch and learn of the calendar year. And we will have the privilege of hosting Rabbi David Young. Rabbi David Young is the rabbi of Congregation B'nai Tzedek in Fontaine Valley. And besides being a terrific rabbi and a very good friend, he and his wife went through abortion several years ago. And he's a rabbi, his wife is a cantor. Unfortunately, Natalie Cantor Young won't be able to be with us, so it's going to be David, who is more than good enough. He's terrific, but I wish we could have the two of them together. And he'll be talking about his personal experience and also about the Jewish sources that he consulted then and that he has been exploring since, because he became an advocate and a speaker. So I think it will be a very, very important conversation, a very important Jewish perspective that is also intrinsically connected with a personal, very personal experience. I am very grateful for David that he is willing to share his wisdom and experience with us. With all that said, you have the Kiddush cup there.
Oh, I do.
You take the Kiddush cup. We're going to do Kiddush now. Kiddush you can find on page 122, I think. So we are switching. So Evan is going to do Kiddush, and I want to play for him.
Oh.
So it's kind of we are
Role
playing
reversal.
around with roles here tonight. Well, I'm not ready, Evan. Like you need to go to page 122. And you like the key we usually do, F?
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna do Kiddush in F. And we'll do בערב ויבוקר יום השישי, ויחול השמיים בארץ בכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי, מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי וחברותיי.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho ve'ahava uvratzon, hinchilanu. Zikaron lemase vereshit Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh Zecher letziat mitzrayim Ki anu v'chata ve'anu kidashta v'kol ha'amim v'shavat koshecha ve'ahava uvredatzon inhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. What a joyful Shabbat. I had a problem with the capo. I apologize for that. And yes, now we're going to make sure that nobody leaves this space without blessings. I'm going to give him, Evan one more second to get to the piano.
A or G?
You are there?
Yep.
So we take a moment to think about the miracles in our lives. We think of the blessings that we carry. We think of the blessings that have been accompanying us from generation to generation. The Midrash tells us that the lights of the Hanukkah, those lights that we think that we saw for the first time 2,000 years ago, they're actually lit by the same fire that lit the Asnea Boer, the burning bush. That fire has been in our lives for more than 5,000 years. And it's a constant. We just need to dedicate attention to recognize it. Every Shabbat we recognize the miracle of creation. We recognize the miracle of the creations that are surrounding us. If we think of the loving legacy of our grandparents, of our parents, the legacy that we want to give to our children, so we tell them, Yasimecha Elohim kefraim bekemenashe. May God inspire you to be like Ephraim and Menashe. Yasimchen, Yasimech Elohim kesar Rivka Rachel velea. May God inspire you to be like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. May God inspire all of you to be like the loving parents of Israel. Yivrechem Adonai beish merechem. May God bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elechem bichunekem. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. יישא אדוני פניו אליכם, וישם לכם shalom. May you find within you always God's presence, God's light. We are always able to recognize with gratitude the miracles in your life. And may God grant you, give you the most beautiful gift. It's shalom, it's peace. אדוני עוש לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמיו בשלום. שבת שלום, שבת שלום ומבורך everyone. על הניסים ועל הפורקם, ועל הפורקם, ועל הפורקם, על הנחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. על הניסים ועל הפורקם, ועל הגבולות, ועל התשובות, ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. על הניסים ועל הפורקם, ועל הגבולות, ועל התשובות, ועל המלחמות שעשית לאמותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. על הניסים ועל הפורקן, ועל הגבולות, ועל התשובות, ועל המלחמות שעשית לאמותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. היי 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. If you're in Zoom, please stay.